guys, welcome back to Hanging with HF. I'm Dove.
And I'm Z.
And today, got a special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Ryan with It's a Wildlife YouTube channel and Quick Catch on Instagram. And we own Legacy Ranch out here in Jennings, Florida.
It's pretty legitness.
It's pretty legitness. Today, we're going to just be riding around and, talking about everything. You got a lot to talk about, I would say.
Lots of animals out here.
A lot going on. So, how long have you been in the, what would this deer hunting business be?
So in the hunting business, I've been hunting since I was 4 with my dad. And I've been in the deer business for 6 years, raising whitetails. I had a friend of mine that used to do it. And this was probably about 15 years ago. I went and helped him move a buck one time that he was selling. And we tranquilized, darted it. And as soon as I got my hands on this animal, I was like, this is just incredible. It's one thing to have your hands on a dead animal that you've killed, but it's another thing to have your hands on a live animal and you're having to check its vitals and its temperature, and you're having to, analyze and study the animal and look for different things. And I've learned more about the white-tailed deer in the first 6 months of raising them than in a lifetime of hunting them.
Yeah. How did you get into not having just whitetail? Because you got all these exotic.
Yeah, you start off with just whitetail, and then you learn more about some of the other exotics. So like on the ranch here, we have red stag, we've got axis deer, fallow deer, black buck antelope, we've got hogs, and then we've got lots of white-tailed deer. That's kind of what we specialize in.
Yeah. That's what we saw the most of yesterday was whitetail. They were running around all through the fields.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was the other one that we saw that we were following behind? Which
Black
one was
buck
that?
antelope.
That was a black buck antelope.
Yeah, black buck antelope can run 52 miles an hour sustained speeds. So like cheetahs can run little bursts of speeds, 70 miles an hour or whatever for 100 yards. A black buck can run that 52 miles an hour and keep going, and it's crazy. I've chased him down with the buggy and clocked him. I think I clocked him at like 48, but Google says they can run 52.
Yeah, and they don't really run. They kind of jump.
They just glide. It's crazy. But they can jump.
They do.
Bounce.
It doesn't look like they're running that fast.
Right.
Because they make it look so effortless.
Effortless.
Yeah. What made you want to start the business of it? What made you want to start doing it as a job?
With me, I caught my first hog when I was 12 with a homemade snare. And when I caught that hog, close wasn't close enough. I had to get hands on. I was hooked. So that's kind of how I have been with every type of animal. It's like I just looking at them isn't good enough for me. I want to get hands on. I want to get up close and personal. I want to, wrangle the animal, get as close as I can, and learn as much about the animal. It's just like, when you go to SeaWorld and you see the dolphins and you encounter them or swim with the dolphins, that's what makes people care about dolphins and want to save dolphins. When you just see them on a TV screen, it's cool to watch, but you don't really get that close connection encounter that you do with being hands-on and up close and breathing the same breath as what the animal's breathing.
Right.
So how much property do you have out here? That's, I guess, high fence.
Yeah, we've got a little over 253 acres under high fence.
That's a lot of land to keep up with.
It is. It keeps us very busy. And then we have, triplet 4-year-old boys, Gloria and I. And so that's like a tornado inside the house, a triplet tornado, as you guys have experienced a little bit of. But I love them.
On average, do you know the exact number of animals that you have out here?
So we've got probably 150 whitetails. We've got 40 to 50 axis. I don't know how many hogs we have. We might have more hogs today than we did yesterday just because they reproduce so quickly.
Yeah.
The red stag, we just got 3. We've got a breeding pair and then an additional buck. And then we've got about half a dozen fallow. We've got like 10 black buck antelope. And I think that's about it.
That's crazy that there's that many axis deer, and we saw the most. We saw the least of.
The least of, yeah. They're like hunting a human. They've got the eyes of a turkey. They've got a better nose than a whitetail. They make a whitetail look like an idiot. They're super smart, really hard to hunt, really elusive. And yeah, like you said, the only time we see them is just we see a blur of them.
Yeah.
They're really hard to hunt, very challenging.
How long have you had the axis deer on here for?
There goes something.
That's probably axis.
Yep, there it goes. Yeah.
That's a whitetail. This is where the axis like to hang out, right in here in this real thick kind of jungle stuff. It's shady in there. Whitetails in front of us just across the road. But yeah, usually when it's like there goes something, that's usually axis.
Oh, there's a buck right there.
A little buck.
Little buck just looking at us.
Yeah. He's like,
All
maybe if I stay still, they won't see me.
This is a cool time of year to see them because they have that summer coat. So they've got that like orange tint to their coat, and then they've got the velvet antlers. They're just growing.
Yeah.
I know, because it's like, I mean, you don't just see a deer in velvet all the time. So it's super cool to see that many. I mean, obviously they're all in velvet right now because it's summertime.
Yeah, all the bucks are in velvet. It's it's hot. The bugs are out. It's kind of a tough time of year, but every season's got its perks. You know, we got little baby fawns on the ground, and it's like Christmas. You know, you don't know what the buck's gonna grow into. So seeing all these different bucks grow into what they're becoming is pretty cool.
And so with all the whitetail, which I'm assuming all the whitetail in here, which it could be different since they're not from here. But
so we've got a lot of whitetails that are native in here, and what we've tried to do is kill a lot of the native out because, a Florida deer might get 110, 120 inches, but the genetics that we have out here that we've put in here and introduced, we've got, probably about 25% northern, 75% Texas is what we're going for.
Right.
Texas genetics just have a lot better survivability. So this hot, humid, torrential climate that we live in is really hard on northern deer. It's like if you're wearing a double winter coat and you're out here in this 105-degree weather, it's going to cause a lot of stress.
Yeah.
The number one killer of whitetail deer is stress. So these Texas genetics absolutely live longer. The closer to the equator, the smaller the animal in generalities.
Right.
So they live a lot better. That's what we're going for.
That's why you said in the Keys they're called like the key deer because they're
key deer are 80, 90 pounds. They're tiny.
Yeah,
that's the only way they can survive down there.
Right. That's like the first time I had ever pet a wild deer was when we went up to the Keys.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing out there.
We were in like a random parking lot, and I just walked up to it.
Yeah.
It was a little buck.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god.
I had a bag of chips one time in the Keys, and the deer just completely hammered the bag of chips.
They're
and this
so,
lady was like, "You're not supposed to feed the key deer." And I'm like, "I'm not feeding them. They're like,
we fed it.
They're feeding themselves."
Yeah. But yeah, you take a key deer, and that's going to be 80, 90 pounds. And then you go to Wisconsin, and you got a 300-pound deer that could eat that key deer.
Yeah,
literally.
And in Canada, I mean, you got 350-pound deer. I've heard of 400-pound deer up in Canada.
I couldn't imagine.
I don't know what I would do.
It's like a different animal.
What's the which back to talking about some hogs for just a second. I mean, you obviously don't know the exact number of hogs because they have babies every day.
40 to 50 hogs in there right now.
40 to 50 hogs.
Yeah, lots of babies, lots of little ones.
What's the biggest hog that you've shot?
So we didn't have a scale, but I've just killed so many of them and caught so many of them that I'm really good at estimating their weight. And this hog was within 20 pounds of 450. He could have been 470, he could have been 430, but we guessed him to be within 20 pounds of 450. That was up in Tennessee. He was a full-blooded or predominantly Eurasian wild boar. I'm getting him mounted. I shot him with my bow, and I can't wait to get the mount back. It should be
how
back in
big
about
is the
6
mount
months.
gonna be?
Like really big. We don't even have a spot for it in our house. We're trying to have to move some stuff around.
Make
Maybe
it-
kick my mother-in-law out
Give it his own room.
Like, I need this room for my
for my hog.
So back to the axis deer. Those are the ones that we aren't seeing. Dub knows more about it than I do because she's all deer hunting girl. But which one is the axis? What is that deer?
So the axis deer are from India, and they have they're like the same color as a tiger, red and white. So they're red with white spots. They almost look like a full-grown fawn. Like fawns have those white spots. Axis keep those spots for life. They've got a black stripe down their back. Really, I think they're the most beautiful animal in here.
Yeah.
And I wish they were a little easier to hunt because it makes it tough for me. We had 3 axis hunters come and hunt 4 days straight, hard. I'm talking about like all day, spotting and stalking. And we only had 2 out of the 3 kill an axis buck. One guy went home empty-handed. He did kill a hog with his bow.
Oh, really?
But he didn't get an axis deer. But they're just so smart. It's tough.
Yeah.
And there's so much cover in here. We've had 3 major direct hits from hurricanes. Last year in 13 months we had 3 hits, and it's taken down a lot of the trees. So we've got a lot of underbrush and a lot of growth, and this is the type of stuff the Axis lay in, is this stuff right here. Sometimes they'll lay there and you ride by and they don't even know, you don't even know they're there.
And you would think with the Axis deer being so big, they would be kind of easier to spot, How big are they?
They can get 250, 260 pounds. In fact, the 2 that we killed a couple weekends ago, they were both 226 pounds exactly.
Really?
Oh my
gosh.
Yeah, they're big.
And their antlers are like 4 foot tall.
Yeah, they're like 30 inches, 32 inches, 34 inches.
Yeah.
Like, they're big.
There's one mounted in where we're staying.
Yeah, in the camp house.
Yeah.
That's the one I killed. So I hunted that deer for a month. I wanted to get him in velvet. And when I shot him a month, after hunting him, probably 4 or 5 days a week I was hunting him. And about a month in, I killed him. And he was peeling. You could see his velvet kind of peeling off.
I was looking at that actually.
Which kind of made the mount cool, being able to see. They preserved it just like he was when I killed him.
Yeah.
But man, that was a tough animal to kill.
I couldn't imagine. And it's weird also because we're seeing the smaller animals everywhere in here.
Yeah, the younger ones. The younger ones
Yeah.
are out and about. They're not as smart. They haven't really been hunted.
Like we haven't seen any of the
don't know
red
what's up
stag or anything like that.
Right.
The
I wish I
fallow
knew where.
deer.
I think the red stag hide in this creek bottom. It's a lot cooler down in there. We just can't drive down in there because it's all just trees on top of trees falling down from the hurricane.
Do you have people that come and hunt those as well here? Or
Not
no?
yet, because we're just establishing our herd.
Okay.
So it'll probably be. I'm going to try to get a couple more does, or hinds is what they call them.
Right.
Red stag female, they call them cows or hinds. But I'm going to try to get a few more of those and then establish a herd, and then that'll be a lot of fun to hunt.
Yeah, that does seem like a lot of fun. Because those are, you said, just a little bit smaller than elk, right?
Just a little bit smaller than elk. Yeah, they're an elk. They're just a little smaller, and they're from Europe. They're a European elk. Call them the king's deer. Actually, the king's deer are fallow deer. Sorry. Red stag. Yeah, they're. You can find them in New Zealand. The one I killed was in New Zealand. That was a monster. That was probably the best trip we've ever taken.
And what color fallow deer do you have in here?
So we've got we've got chocolate, and then we've got spotted. Fallow deer come in white, chocolate, and spotted.
Mm-hmm.
We try to focus on the chocolates. That's the highest demand.
Really?
It seems like the most people want chocolates, and I love chocolates too. They're literally like a dark chocolate colored, and their antlers are like a cream color.
Yeah.
So they're really cool to look at.
I want to shoot an albino deer.
Yeah, they have white fallow deer. Albino deer would be cool too.
I feel like that would be so cool because it's not like somebody sees that every day.
No, you get a lot of hate for it too. Have
Yeah.
you seen when people kill albinos
Yes.
and piebalds, and people are like, "How could you kill that?" Well, it's like, I'm not going to discriminate. Listen, I'm not
picking and choosing.
Yeah.
If it's no different than a regular, not white deer.
Yeah. Just,
And aren't their survival chances are a
Yeah.
lot lower, aren't they?
their survival chances are a lot lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're just easy prey for a predator they can't hide.
Yeah.
We had an albino fawn out here. We had a piebald fawn and an albino
is it
fawn. There goes a whitetail. And both of them got picked off. We were watching them. The piebald fawn, he was mostly white, he or she.
Uh-huh.
We were watching it feed in the front yard. We loved watching it feed every morning. And then we just stopped seeing it. And figured it got picked off by a predator.
What? Oh, I guess I don't know what eats fawns. What
So
goes after
coyotes
them?
and bobcats
Oh,
are
okay.
primarily what's gonna. So I've caught 19 coyotes. I've caught and killed 6 bobcats. Domestic coyotes, I've killed 8 of those. I just call them domestic coyote dogs. Wild dogs have gotten in here. If they don't have a collar, I've got to protect my livestock. I kill them
Yeah.
if they're wild. Now I did catch one dog in one of my snares, and I walked up to it, and you can tell if it's wild or not. This was the sweetest dog. It was wagging its tail, and I caught it in one of my snares. This was mid-July, middle of the day, and its head was swollen up from being in my snare. Like, it's a kill snare.
Yeah.
But the dog was smart enough to, when it started getting tight, it stopped pulling.
Yeah.
So I went and got the cable cutters. I cut the cables off of it, And this dog was the sweetest dog. I ended up making it my pet. I named it Buddy.
Oh my god.
And I took him back there in the hog preserve because he would look like a cur dog. And I was like, wonder if he's like a hog, like if he would chase hogs. So we walked back there and a hog jumped up and he chased it and he ran this thing for a while. And so I had some other hog dogs at the time. And so I ran him with my other hog dogs. I kept him for like a year. I ended up selling him to a buddy of mine who hog hunts for $500.
Seriously?
Yeah, and he's one of his best dogs. So I set some more snares. I was like, maybe I can catch some more and just keep selling hog dogs.
Dog business.
Yeah, but he was the coolest dog. His name was Buddy. He was super sweet. I thought that was a cool story how I caught him.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So how do bobcats and coyotes get in here?
So I've watched a bobcat just hop over the 8-foot fence like effortlessly, jump up, one jump up and over the fence.
That's
Coyotes
insane.
will dig under, so I snare the coyotes, and that's kind of how I caught Buddy the dog.
Yeah.
Is he was using one of the digs. So coyotes will dig in, and then I'll check the perimeter every morning and set a snare where that dig is, and they'll usually exit the same way they entered, and catch them with a snare like that. They're pretty easy to catch.
Dogs dig, hogs root.
Yep. Hogs root, dogs dig, bobcats leap up and over. I caught one bobcat in a snare coming under the fence, but they'll usually go up and over.
That's insane. I couldn't imagine a bobcat jumping over a fence.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like that's tall.
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
What's the biggest animal you've harvested off the ranch?
Buffalo. Yeah, bison.
Wait, what? You have buffalo here?
No.
We had buffalo for a short period of time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were a handful. I mean, that buffalo was like probably about 900,000 pounds, something like that. We harvested it. We weren't hunting it. I just harvested. I was raising them, and I harvested one, killed one for the meat, got it processed, and yeah, it was a handful. I mean, just one of the hams on that thing is like 100 pounds.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you, I guess all the animals out here, they just eat corn.
So we feed them a high protein feed. We feed them record rack protein, and keeps them real healthy. We've seen a significant difference. So the first year we weren't feeding record rack, and they were, some of the deer were skinnier, ribs showing, things like that. Antlers weren't as big, but we saw probably a 30% increase in antler development, antler size, and a full restoration in all the deer out here that you guys have seen. Have you seen any that have been skinny or emaciated? I mean, they're all like fat and healthy.
They're all big, massive, actually.
So it gives them all the nutrition that they need. It's a real scientifically blended blend just for them, just for deer, and that's what we feed them year round.
And do all the deer in here get along?
Pretty much. The fallow can be bullies. Fallow deer are mean. So I've seen little fallow spikes run a 200-inch 4-year-old whitetail buck off the feeder.
Oh my gosh.
There's a fox squirrel. Seen a lot of them running around.
Yeah, we have.
They're just fast enough so that you can't get video of them.
Axis squirrel.
Axis squirrel,
axis
We actually did a fox squirrel hunt. You can't hunt them in Florida, they're protected, but in Georgia you can, and my buddy owns 9,000 acres up there. And he's like, come on. He said they tear up his pivots, so they chew on the electronics of the pivots of the big irrigation that they have for their farms. And he's like, man, they're a nuisance to me. So we went and shot 2, and we did a video on that. That was the boys, the triplets' first hunting trip.
Oh, really?
We had a great time.
Do you take them hunting, like deer hunting with you?
I haven't yet, just because it's a lot different when there's 3 4-year-olds. I can't spend the one-on-one time with them, so they're kind of further behind. Like if I just had 1 4-year-old, he would be a lot more mature. We'd take him everywhere, but when there's 3 of them, you got to kind of take turns. So I figure they're like a third, developed for their age, if that makes sense.
Right.
So they're not quite ready yet. I think Dawson could be ready. He listens well. Austin maybe, and Caden definitely not. He's got some time still. But Caden is the one that's the most into it.
Really?
He wants to go fishing so much all the time. He wants to go hunting. He wants to pick blackberries and chanterelle mushrooms.
Yeah.
They're all outdoory boys, but.
Oh, there was a deer of some sort
See
that
what?
ran the other direction.
Really?
Bush buck.
I couldn't imagine trying to take 3 4-year-olds hunting.
No, it sounds like a nightmare.
Definitely not at the same time. I'll take
wouldn't
you
see- we
today,
probably
you
wouldn't see
tomorrow,
much.
and you the next day.
Well, hog hunting is probably what I would say. If you've got some uneducated hogs, take them hog hunting, and you know, if it's hogs that haven't been messed with, you can get away with movement a little bit. You can get
Yeah.
away with some noise, but like those hogs yesterday, you can't get away with anything because they're
Oh yeah,
They know
were
what it-
like me or Papa
They were
Ham would
watching
make
out.
like the slightest movement, slightest noise, and they were like looking around.
Well, they would have been. You could take them hunting if those piglets are out there, because
yeah, those little piglets. But see, they're uneducated,
yeah, they
They're-
don't care.
they're
Look at
just
that horse fly
young and
on the
dumb.
roof.
I know you weren't about to just grab that thing with your hand.
I was about to grab it.
So you
Push it.
trap hogs as well. There was something in front of us.
Oh, something. It looked like a duck put here. I started digging a pond right here, and then I got the excavator and I started digging, and I'm like, should I hit it? You want me to hit it?
Yeah. Just go
I
fast.
started digging, and then I was like, wait a second. I got to put this dirt somewhere. I didn't have anywhere to put the dirt, so we're probably going to dig a pond right here at some point. Right now, it's just a moccasin hole. This is the only place on the property I've seen moccasins.
Really?
I've seen 2 or 3 of them. But this is one of the places where the deer get their water. Usually there'll be deer laid up right around in here. It's probably nice and cool. But yeah, I've caught, I'll have to look. I don't have my phone on me, but I've caught, since I started keeping track about 8 years ago, I think I've trapped 4,690 hogs. And I'm trying to hit 5,000 by the end of 2025.
That's insane. What's the biggest hog that you've trapped?
The biggest hog I trapped, I think he was like 330 pounds. I did weigh him. I think he was 332 pounds was the biggest hog I've ever trapped. And that's a big hog.
That is
Wild
a big
hogs typically don't get over 250 pounds as a rule of thumb. And that's over 250 pounds. It's either a bar hog that's been castrated or something's going on with it where, you know, it's got a lot of domestic in it, or some of that Eurasian wild boar. They get really big really quick. Or it's, you know, in farmland where there's a lot of agriculture and it's eating a lot. But they don't normally get over 250 pounds. So if you
Right.
get one bigger than that, you've done something special.
And you want to tell us about, I mean, I've heard that something traumatic happened to you while hog hunting.
Yeah, so 10 years ago, July 23rd, 2015, I got bit by a wild hog. And I caught this hog on the backside of a pond for a neighborhood. This was a hog that had been doing some damage to this pond in this neighborhood. Caught it with one of my dogs. I had my knee on it. I'm getting ready to tie it up, and it's squealing. It's about 40 to 50 pounds. Well, I hear something in the bushes behind me. I turn around, and here comes the sow. She flies out of the bushes. She's coming at me, and I hear her like she's growling. She's ready to attack me. So I take my attention off the one under my knee and go for the one behind me, ready to fight this one. It bluff charges me, takes off, and I just got distracted and got my hands too close to the one's mouth that was under me. It grabs these 2 fingers, my pointer finger and my middle finger, and just goes to chewing down. People don't realize the power of a hog bite, but they're the only animal in the wild that can crack a hickory nut with their jaws. Hickory nut, you have to have a hammer to get into a hickory nut. So it grabs a hold of my fingers. The guy that's with me is jumping around. What do I do? What do I do? Because it won't let go. I said, grab my knife off my belt, stick the hog, kill the hog. So I'll never forget, as he's stabbing the hog, I can feel the hog just grinding down on my fingers. And he grinded down to the bone. So it was everything, my fingernail was gone, everything was gone on my pointer finger. And finally we killed the hog, rushed to the hospital, they cleaned it up. And about a week later, I started developing symptoms. I had like upset stomach, anxiety, depression. I've never had anxiety.
Yeah.
Like fatigue like you wouldn't believe, hard, heavy heartbeat, shortness of breath, and I started losing weight. I went from 170 pounds to 133 in about 3 months. I thought I was dying.
That's insane.
Started seeing doctors all over the country, and nobody can figure it out, no answers. All I've done is just cleaned up my diet, you know, eating a healthier diet, try to manage my stress. One doctor thinks maybe I've gotten brucellosis from the hog bite, because hogs they carry all kind of diseases.
Yeah.
Pseudorabies, brucellosis, trichinosis, pseudorabies, E. coli, everything you can think of. Hogs are really nasty. They have a
they
dirty
just
mouth.
eat mud.
Yeah, they roll in mud. You know, they'll eat anything.
Yeah.
And so one doctor thinks I got brucellosis from the hog bite, and then all the antibiotics I've been on over the years killed the brucellosis, but the residual damage is still there. So who knows?
Yeah, that's crazy. What's your favorite animal to eat, I guess you would say?
I'd say caribou is probably the best meat I've ever had. Axis deer is up there. I really like black buck antelope. It's really good.
What's like? I mean, can you describe how it's different from like whitetail?
Black buck, when you get the tenderloin or the back strap of a black buck, it literally looks like ahi tuna. It's like a deep, rich colored meat, beautiful, like a mahogany color. It's beautiful, rich meat, just high quality meat. It's amazing. I love it. You can eat it raw. It's so good.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's.
Kind of want some right now.
Yeah, let's go hunt one down and find one.
Yeah. Hey, anything you see is for sale. But isn't it funny how all the animals we saw yesterday and then now we're not seeing much anything?
Yeah.
It's feed times. We'll hit a couple more spots.
So do you usually, do you have certain stands where these bucks will come to this stand, these bucks come to this stand?
Yeah. The whitetails kind of pick an area and they'll live in certain areas and you'll see them. Now the axis, you can kind of pattern them a little bit sometimes if there's no pressure at all, but for the most part, they're sporadic. And if you put a little bit of pressure on them, they turn nocturnal just like that.
And I don't know, can you hunt those at night or no?
So we can. We have a gun and light at night permit. So I just have to call law enforcement and let them know, hey, I'm going to be hunting tonight between 9 and 11. Yeah. And they'll approve it. And then we go in with the spotlights and with thermals.
So do you have more luck whenever they're getting spooked out like that? Do you have better luck at nighttime?
So even at night, we've got about a 25% success rate.
Really?
So like 1 out of 4 times, maybe 25 to 50%. Yeah, I saw that one. Little whitetail buck or whitetail doe running off.
Bouncing all around. It's so funny because they don't run like a dog or anything, they bounce.
Yeah, just bounce. I love watching a deer just bounce through the open pines like that. So she's one of our tagged does. So she's one that'll live her full life. She won't get hunted. She looks like she's got a fat belly, like she hasn't had a fawn yet. She's doing pretty, girl.
She's looking at us. She's like, why are y'all recording me? She do look fat.
Yeah. You say she do look fat? Yeah, she do.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
So talk about some of the licensing requirements for what you do.
For out here?
Oh yeah, like what type of?
So I have my trapper's license, obviously, because I have a Nuisance wildlife trapping company called Quick Catch that we run out of Northeast Florida, and we pretty much cover the whole state of Florida. We've got a hog job in Bunnell right now. We just did a job.
Hog job.
Yeah, we did a hog job. We caught, I think, 14 hogs down in like towards Orlando. We've got a big goose job in Tallahassee. There's like 75 geese terrorizing a golf course. So we've got that permit for that, trapping licenses and different permits depending on the animal. And then out here we've got a blanket hunting permit, which means anybody that comes hunting out here, they don't have to have a hunting license. It's covered under our permit. Yeah. And then I have a game farm license that covers anything that I want to raise in the game farm up there. That's where our breeder pens are. So we've got the 6 breeder pens. Right. That's where we have all of our pet deer. And again, they're not going to they'll never be killed. They're raised for their pedigree. And so they'll live their whole life and not get shot. Right. Not get hunted.
What would happen if somebody was out here? Well, okay, so whenever somebody comes like on a guided hunt, do you sit with them or do you bring them to the stand, say this is where you're going to sit?
Yeah, I'll be back later. I'll always sit with them because it's hard for people to distinguish like a 140-inch buck to a 150-inch buck. And we don't want somebody shooting something that's outside their budget. Yeah. And so obviously with a whitetail buck, the bigger it is, the more it costs. Yeah. And so we were going to tell them, hey, that buck's 170 inches, he's $7,000. That buck is 190 inches, he's $9,000. Yeah. Or we'll give them a little bit of a price break. And if somebody shoots, if we say that buck's 170 inches, and he shoots him and he's only 160 inches, they're only going to pay the 160 inch price.
Yeah.
So they're not going to ever pay more than what the guide says it is. That way people aren't shooting what they don't know.
Yeah.
And there's so many different species out here. You know, we don't want somebody to shoot a red stag and thought it was an axis deer.
See, that's what I was thinking was like, if you have people out here hunting, how are they gonna? I mean, what if they accidentally shoot something? Has that ever happened?
No, just because there's a guide there with them. You know, we're not going to put them out by themselves. We want them to know exactly what they're shooting and want them to feel comfortable. And we feel like it's a better experience when they know what they're aiming at.
What's the wounded animal policy?
So if you shoot, our policy is if you shoot at an animal, unless we can confirm, like on video, or confirm it was a miss, you bought that animal. That's your animal.
Yeah.
We've had people out here that have shot and we all thought it was a miss. It looked like a miss. A guy shot a black buck out of this stand, shot it across the field. It looked like a miss. We never found any blood. We called it a miss. The guy left, and I think he shot another black buck and just paid for the one. But we found the other one dead just a few days later. So he got that one for free. You know, but I mean, he didn't get it, but that was a total loss for us. So if you shoot at an animal, that's your animal. And that's why we spend a lot of time at the range beforehand, making sure you know your weapon and you know you're comfortable shooting, making sure we know you can shoot straight.
Yeah.
You know, most people can, but there's some people we have to work with a little bit before we take them out in the
struggle.
field. Some people just don't shoot. It's like their first time and they come out here and they want to hunt. We're like, man, you got to spend some time down range before you come out here and hunt. We owe it to the animal. You know, we respect these animals. We want to make sure the quick, clean, ethical kill is our main goal.
Not letting them be injured walking around.
Right.
I couldn't imagine, like, I mean, I've hunted for my whole life, basically. I couldn't imagine, like, coming to, like, something like this for the very first time I ever went hunting.
I had a guy come out here one time, wanted to bow hunt, and we get to the range, and I'm like, all right, shoot the target a couple times. He couldn't draw his bow back. He couldn't pull his bow back. He's like, yeah, I just haven't really messed with it. I'm like, what were you thinking? It's crazy. So we lowered the poundage on his bow. I spent about 2 hours with him getting it dialed in, and then we went and he killed a nice buck.
Yeah, but I would never come out to a place like this my first time hunting, because then your hopes are going to be so high. Like, not every deer looks like these.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it depends. Like, some people think a high fence hunting ranch is just, there's deer everywhere, and they just stand there and let you shoot them. But as soon as you, like, about that second week, they get really smart really quick. And there's deer in here that I'll never see. I hunted a buck, a specific buck out here the first year we had it, and I hunted him for 2 months before I got a shot on him.
Oh my gosh.
Like almost every day. In fact, I kind of come to God meeting because I was putting him ahead of my faith, and I started realizing, man, I'm putting this deer before everything.
Yeah.
And so I got right with God, and I was like, I just asked for forgiveness. I said, Lord, please forgive me for putting this deer ahead of you, because I really got my priorities out of whack. So, and then I think I killed him the next day.
Oh my god.
After that happened.
So we talked about this yesterday, but the only deer that you can't hunt all year round are the whitetail, correct?
Right, they have a specific season.
Okay.
August 1st to March 1st, we can hunt whitetails in here. So it's an elongated season, but it's still, we have to abide by that season. Mm-hmm. All the exotics we can hunt year round. So, you know, the hogs we hunt year round, the axis deer, fallow, black buck antelope, we can hunt those year round. We get busy. Our busiest season is going to be September, October. Our rut is in November here.
Right, okay.
So that's a fun time to be here.
Yeah.
Because, man, you're talking about bucks fighting and chasing does, and it gets wild sitting on one of these fields or sitting in, you know, one of these blocks of timber. You just never know what's going to come underneath.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to see.
You say your rut is in November?
It is.
Whitetail?
It's in mid-November. That's when our peak rut is.
Really? Because ours is in late January, and we're only 3 hours.
Yep.
East
You're
of
close to Alabama.
west of you.
I mean, I consider that Alabama, that region.
Yeah.
So that's the latest rut in the whole nation.
Wow.
Is y'all's rut.
Is the rut in here different? Because, I mean, I don't know, the exotic deer, do they have different ruts than the whitetail?
So axis will have typically one fawn, and they'll breed year round. So, you know, as soon as the axis deer drops a fawn, it gets bred again. So every axis doe that we've killed, I think except for one, has been pregnant.
Really?
That's just how it is. They breed year round. The black buck tend to breed in the spring. We've got 2 little black bucks that were just born. They're probably about 3 or 4 weeks old. The whitetails rut in November, and they're going to have their babies. You know, they've had their babies right now. The fallow and the red stag seem to have their babies a little bit later, so I'm guessing they're breeding in like December.
And do the like? I mean, I just know what like a whitetail looks like as a fawn. So do the fallow deer and the black buck, like all of those different ones, do they just look the same but just small?
Yeah, the black buck antelope are all born like a light tan color. And what's cool about them is when they reach sexual maturity, the males will turn that black color. They'll be black on white. Really cool to see them change color like that. We've got one buck right now that's he's like a late teenager, and we're watching him turn darker every day. Every time we see him, we're like, he's a little bit darker. So he'll be black on white. And then the fallow deer, the axis deer, I can just tell because I deal with them a lot, but you probably couldn't tell the difference in an axis fawn and a whitetail fawn. They look very similar. Their nose is a little bit shorter than a whitetail.
Because, I mean, I guess they still have spots, so.
Yeah, they still got
They just don't grow out of their spots.
Yeah, those babies don't.
Are they bigger than a regular whitetail fawn?
Probably about the same size.
They just grow longer or faster or what?
They grow bigger. You know, if it's a buck, an axis doe is going to be 110, 120 pounds.
Oh, okay.
130 pounds, 140 pounds is a really big one. But about the same size as the whitetail doe. They're just stockier. They're a little stockier, shorter legs, but they're a stockier animal.
And the does are the same as the bucks with the spots and the black stripe and all that?
They've all got, the axis deer all have spots.
And then fallow deer, are the babies just the color that they're going to be whenever they are full grown?
Yeah, so they come in those 3 color phases, and so chocolate, if they're chocolate, they're born that dark chocolate color, and they'll stick with that color. If they're white, they're born white. If they're spotted, they're born spotted, and they'll stay that color. You know, as they get older, they'll keep that same color phase. They're pretty cool to see, and you can have like 2 chocolates breed, and you'll still get
right there.
You saw one?
Oh yeah, right there.
She's running.
Little fawn.
Whitetail. She was like right at the tree line right here.
I'm gonna turn around and go a different area.
I keep looking. I'm like,
I know, I'm like
paying
looking
such
around.
close attention to try and see if I see anything like in the woods. So what all do you trap?
Man, so we try anything. We do pest control and we do wildlife removal. So anything from a parasite to a wild pig and everything in between. So raccoons, possums, squirrels, venomous snakes, Canadian geese, Muscovy ducks, peacocks, wild hogs, anything you could think of. Possums. We have animals that get into people's attics and get into people's buildings. We've had snakes that get into people's houses. We've had every type of call you could think of. Animals get into Walmarts and Sam's Clubs and places of business.
So I'm sorry, what do you do when you catch a peacock?
So with peacocks and Canadian geese, Muscovy ducks, we have a big remote controlled drop net. So we push that button and the whole net drops on them and we gather them up. Canadian geese have to be euthanized according to the permit. They have a really good rehoming ability, so if we were to relocate them, they'd just come right back. And these are the geese that have basically migrated down here and stayed. You know, it's like kind of like the Yankees. They come down here and they like it and they don't want to go back. It's like nice and warm down here, but there just gets to be too many of them.
Are they mean?
They're pretty aggressive. Yeah, they'll run off a lot of your native species. The Muscovy ducks, same way. They're not native. Muscovy ducks are not native, and so they'll run off your mallards and your native species. So they just have to be managed, and so we manage them. Peacocks, though, that we have there's a rabbit. We have a buyer that takes all of our peacocks. We have pretty much people that'll take all these animals. We don't like to waste anything. That's our big thing. We don't want to like kill and dump stuff. So we have alligator farms. Any of the non-native stuff that we have to kill, we'll take them to 2 different alligator farms in St. Augustine, and then they get fed to the alligators. And then any of the native stuff that we can legally relocate, we do that, onto 2 of our properties that we have access to relocate animals. So those are fake coyotes to help keep the deer out of the food plots.
You think it helps?
It helps for a couple days, and then the deer get used to it. They've annihilated these food plots.
Then they realize the coyote's been standing still for.
Yeah. Like it blows in the wind, you can see that moving.
Oh yeah.
But it's still, you can actually see like all in here it's been eaten, but right around the coyote it's green. See that?
Oh yeah.
So they get used to it. And see all the tracks that are in the food plot.
Is there like a certain age that people have to be to come out and hunt here?
No, we've had, I think the youngest we had was I think he was a 6-year-old kid. Maybe he was 8. I think he was 8. But he was a pretty mature 8-year-old.
Yeah.
He was a really mature, and so I've had people that have come out here before, and we get them at the range, and the dad is pushing them, and they're just not ready. We had one kid that was like in tears. You know, the dad was just pushing him to hunt because he wanted it more than the kid did. And I just had to say, hey, he's not ready. He needs time at the range. You got to spend some time working with him, and don't push him because you'll ruin it for him.
Yeah.
But then I've had, you know, that 8-year-old came out here, and he made a perfect shot on a 9-point. Killed a 9-point. I'm like, oh my gosh, this kid doesn't even know what he just did. We try to focus on, like, there's a lot of high fence places that just grow monster deer with stuff going everywhere and trash, and it just, to me, it kind of gives the hunting industry a bad name. And we try to focus on natural, clean looking deer. You know, we do have some native genetics in here, and so I think that makes the deer grow that more natural, clean look. You know, we want the deer to look like a deer. We don't want it to look like some kind of freak.
Because there's some that get like, wasn't there one that was killed in, like right down the road from our lease, I think.
A deer that was just non-typical?
Yeah, it was just like,
stuff going everywhere?
Everything was everywhere. We think it was actually a high fence deer that got out. And then I think it won like
some kind of record,
biggest deer in the county or something.
So back to the trapping. So we've had a location down in South Florida too, and we've trapped iguanas. A lot of iguanas down there, tegus, a lot of non-natives down in South Florida. Everything down there is basically non-native. Big pythons. We went down there in the Everglades and we pulled out a 9-foot python. Glory Ann crawled into a culvert one time and she pulled out a 10-foot python out of a storm culvert. She crawled in there and pulled it. She's pretty fearless.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
I might have pushed her a little bit. She was the only one small enough to go in, is what we told her. Plus, it was good for video.
Do you ever get anything that isn't supposed to be in here besides the coyotes?
No, pretty much just coyotes, bobcats, occasional dog will come through. We haven't had any dogs come through in a while. I keep a pretty tight check on the perimeter.
You haven't had anyone try and jump your high fence and come in here and secretly hunt?
Not yet. Hope that never happens because it wouldn't end well.
Yeah. People that do that are just like the people I know. Well, I don't know, obviously, people that do that, but I've heard of people like cutting high fences and like purposely trying to let the deer out.
Yeah, I've heard of people shooting them and then cutting and dragging them out.
Yeah, they'll shoot them through the fence and then. I couldn't imagine doing that.
I can't either. That's just.
It's like you guys don't live like near really anybody.
No, there's not a lot of people around where we live. We're pretty tucked back in here.
Yeah.
Which is how we like it.
Hey, so are you gonna be at the Deer Expo July 12th?
We're gonna try. Yeah, we gotta. I definitely gotta tell Glory Ann about it so she can check the calendar. I'd love to be there. That's in Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Are you gonna be there? I'm guessing you're gonna be there.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be there. Be there, be square. July 12th, World Deer Expo.
I've heard. I
just saw those coyotes and I thought there was something.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say coyote. I've heard that's a good one. And then what is it? The Western Hunt Expo. Have you heard of that one? The Western, something Western. It's up there in like Utah or Idaho. That's supposed to be awesome. We used to go to ATA every year, the Archery Trade Association. That was a good show, but it's getting smaller and smaller ever since COVID. And then we went to SCI this past year. That was a good one. Went to SHOT Show one year. That was just intense.
Really?
Like 60,000 people, just
oh my gosh,
insane.
On average, how many hunters do you get each year?
Yeah, about 30 to 40 hunters per year, or groups. Some groups have, more hunters in them. So like we just had a bachelor party of 8 guys come out. That was a big group, what we'd consider a big group. Most of the people come out are like 2s and 3s. Sometimes there'll just be one guy by himself. But when we book a hunt, we just book that one party at a time, so they've got the whole place to themselves. So we encourage people to bring somebody with them. That way they're not alone, and they have the whole place to themselves. So it's pretty cool. They enjoy it.
And so whenever they get in groups of, more than one person, actually, just more than one person, who sits with them? If you sit with one of the people, do you have somebody that works with you? Or?
Yeah, I've got friends that do it. I've got friends that own ranches, and got a handful of people that'll come out here and help. My brother helps sometimes. Sometimes my dad comes out and helps guide. They really enjoy it. They don't enjoy it as much when it's 100 degrees out. When it's cold. Everybody wants to be here when it's cold and be in the stand. Nobody wants to be in the stand.
Yeah,
Very few people want to be in the stand when it's like, shoot. Well, you felt it yesterday.
Yeah,
it was like 125
last
degrees.
Night it was, oh my gosh.
Yeah, whenever we were filming the hog hunting video, me and Papa Ham were way up in the trees, and we had a nice breeze going.
I felt like we were underground. I don't know what I felt. We were just
like in a sauna.
In a sauna, actually.
It was literally felt like we were in a sauna.
And it was weird because it looked like y'all were completely covered in shade.
No, the sun hit the blind, and it was like a little oven. We were in a nice little oven in there.
Yeah, because where the sun was hitting, and then we had our cameras, and then our gun, like where the sun was coming through was directly hitting on everything, and so the camera
overheated.
I mean, it was 1,000,000 degrees. We took the battery out, and it was like
it was hot.
Felt like you just took it out of the oven.
Hot. Yeah.
It was, everything was just.
Is that your excuse of why Z shot the bigger hog first?
Yeah. No. I did.
We were trying to let y'all get one first, because
Yeah.
We were trying to help y'all out.
If y'all haven't watched that video yet, leave a comment down below and guess how much you think the hog I killed weighed and how much you think the one that Dub killed weighed. Mine was bigger by the way. So thank you.
Not by much.
Yeah, by much. By like 50 pounds.
I disagree with that.
How much was yours? I don't remember how much yours was. Wait, don't say it.
Yours was only like 30 pounds more than mine. So, I mean, this is like a lot to deal with. You got a lot going on out here.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any partnerships or any things like that help you out with all this?
So we have a lot of sponsors just because of our social media following that we have. So we work with Grim Reaper Broadheads. Now, Grim Reaper Broadheads, I've been using Grim Reaper Broadheads way before they were a sponsor. And the reason is because they are, in fact, the most consistent broadhead on the market, period. When you're shooting hogs in between houses and neighborhoods. In fact, one of our contracts, the guy before us lost his contract because there were hogs running around with arrows sticking out of them. And so we had to promise that wasn't going to happen when we took the contract. So I've got to have a good, reliable broadhead that hits its mark and does what it's supposed to do every single time, and that's Grim Reaper. We work with Rick's Optics, so they the thermal that we use for our thermal scopes. We work with Silencer Central. That's the shirt I'm wearing. That's the suppressors that we use. We go through Silencer Central for that. Century Firearms in Jacksonville, Florida. We're on the Buckmasters team, so we're on the Buckmasters on the road team. That's their influencer team. Trying to think of who else. Hollow socks. They're actually the most comfortable socks I've ever worn. They're great in like 90-degree weather or 20-degree weather. Really comfortable socks. I'd recommend checking them out. They're made with alpaca fur, so they're really cool. And then Nebo lights is a good one. Nebo lights. I've started using Nebo lights and really like them. And all the products that we work with, we don't ever work with somebody just because they reach out to us. I get reached out to probably 2 to 3 times, 4 times a week. People want us to support or use their product. And if it's not something I already know of or trust in the product or know the company, know that they're good quality products and people, I do not work with them. I'll respond and say no thank you. I have people that just the other day, she was like, hey, I want you to represent our dog collar. I'm like, I don't even have a dog. No. Like, I'm not going to do that for the money.
You
put it on one of your deer.
Yeah. Yeah, one of our little fawns. Maybe Violet let us put a collar on.
She would let you put a collar on her. How many breeder deer do you have in those pens?
So we've got about, I think we've got about 40 deer in those pens out of those 6 pens.
Oh my gosh.
Not including fawns that were just born. So we've probably got about, I think 46, 48. Because we got 6 or 8 fawns that were just born in the past couple.
I did not. Could we go back into the breeder pens, or does that like stress the deer out?
No, we can. It stresses them out a little bit, but they need that. I mean, the more that we're in there, the more that new people are in there, the more acclimated they're going to get to it. So we just don't have a lot of new people that come in. And did you see even Violet? She's like a puppy dog tame. If it was just me going in there, but when y'all went in there, did you see she was kind of like? First thing she did is circle around downwind, and then she's throwing her nose up. She's getting to know you.
And while you were petting her, she was like looking.
Yeah. They're real weary of new people.
So what is this area right here that's like?
So what's funny is this is it's all electric fence. We planted all this in pine trees, spent $1,200. The guy comes Monday, that was on a Friday. The guy comes that next Monday to plant another area and another $1,200 worth of trees. And he goes, hey, where's all your pine trees at? And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, all your pine trees, there's no pine trees left. We come out here and the deer ate every single pine tree. I didn't even know they ate pine trees. Oh so we had to electric fence it and then plant them again. Spend another $1,200.
Yeah, I can see them.
Well, they're hard to see because they're green, but they're in rows, but they're alive. And when you do these, you do 2 strands on the inside and 1 strand on the outside, and they can't figure out how to jump it. It's like a depth perception thing for deer.
So if I touch that fence right now, I'd get electrocuted.
I don't know, you wanna try? Yeah, I think you should touch it.
Is it? I don't want to touch it and get like.
It's not gonna be enough to hurt you if it is.
Yeah, well, you know, one time
because see how it's touching the ground?
One time she hit an electric fence in it.
Now you have to touch it now.
Yeah, is it on?
I don't know.
You want to touch it first? Is that a prime man? What is that? Stick bug.
Yeah, it's on.
How did you just hold your hand to that?
Try it.
No, because
I promise it doesn't hurt.
As bad as like the gum.
Just touch it with the back of your hand. Keep your hand on it. I promise it doesn't.
Scared.
It's all mental. Just don't think about it. Just do it. Do it. You feel it? See, it's not really bad.
It's just like a little.
Yeah, it's like a little. It surprises you.
Probably my leg was gonna collapse. It's not a taser.
Yeah, it's fine. No, it's because it's touching the ground. I knew that it wouldn't be. If it was up off the ground, it would give you a lot more.
With that one?
Probably. Or the closer do we get to the box, but the wind is blowing it to where it's off the post. I need to add a couple more right here because they can jump that.
All right, guys, we just want to say thank you to Ryan for letting us come out here and, shoot some of your hogs.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and this was a very cool experience. Yes.
It's been a great time hunting with you girls.
Yes.
I'm just glad you can shoot straight.
Oh yeah. We've been practicing.
I can tell.
So y'all make sure to go check out his channel at It's a Wildlife. We'll have it linked in the description down below. And y'all take care.